Hello, Professor. My name is Joshua Rodriguez. My lab partner is Carlos Verdosca, and today I'll be presenting my CECS346 Lab 1. So for this project, we're trying to switch the outputs of what happens on the board. So currently, the LED is toggling from blue to red when switch 1 is not pressed, and when it is pressed, it toggles the LED between blue and green. In this project, we're going to try and change the outputs. So as you can see here, in section 1, we're defining many of the ports with names so that it'll be easier to understand than addresses. If you see down here in section 2, we could see that we're assigning in and out to many of the inputs and outputs of the board. As you can see, the in represents PF4, which is basically one of the switches, and out represents PF3, PF2, and PF1, which all represent portions of the LED. We also have a couple functions known as port f initialize, which basically initialize the entire lab. The delay, which basically sets us a delay so that we could tell there's a delay between the flickering of the LEDs, and enable interrupts, which obviously enables the interrupts. And all of these are being used in the main, as you can see here. The Texas initialize function initializes the entire lab. The port f initialize obviously calls all the inputs and outputs so that the lab could work, and enable interrupts obviously use interrupts. So while 1 is basically making a loop that will be continuous forever. And as you can see here, in is receiving the input from PF4, which is basically switch. So if n is equal to 0x00, which means switch 1 is pressed, that means the LED would change lights. In this instance, the LED will switch to red. However, if the switch is not pressed, then the LED will become yellow instead. Then we'll have a slight delay. Then afterwards, the LED will become blue. And another delay again, and then it goes back upwards to the top, continuing the progress over and over again, causing the flickering of the lights. Also, as you can see here, this is where we initialize everything. It has basically like all the things, such as the clock, all the inputs, and so on and so forth. And I was able to tell which lights the LED was supposed to portray using these initialize. As you can see here, yellow represents 0x0a, which is what I did up here, as you can see. And I also did the same for red down here, as well as blue. And all the way down here, we had a delay. So in the lab, at first the delay was 0.1 seconds. However, it was asked that we have the time. In other words, make the process slower. So in order to do that, I simply multiplied the entire equation by 2, and that allowed me to get 0.2 seconds instead of 0.1 seconds. So that means it'll take a much longer time to cause a delay. So if we try to build it here, and we try to load it on the board, this is our result. As you can see here, whenever the switch 1 is not pressed, it flickers between blue and yellow for about 0.2 seconds. However, if we hold the switch, that means it's now flickering from blue to red, which is what the lab requests. So once again, thank you for listening to me, and I hope you like this presentation. Thank you.